On getting home, Emelda was met with her fear. Her mother and brother were inside, but ready to leave. She kept her pot and carried her younger brother, Miracle. Miracle was given the name because it took the mother so many years to become pregnant again after Emelda. The native doctors had told Anthony that his wife Virginia would not be able to take in again due to some infections during Emelda's delivery. Their house was already flooded with water. With each passing minute, the flood kept increasing. The heavy pitter-patter sound of the rain was becoming so much. Cold became the unwanted visitor and was not ready to leave as soon as possible. Her mother, who had been sick and weak for the past 4 market days, was barely managing to pull herself together. The wind howled so hard and pulled out the roof of their house. The house became less of a shelter and more like a drowning pit to them. Emelda carried her 2-year-old younger brother. Their mother managed to pack up some of their belongings. They had prayed that the rain would stop, but it was as if the gods were deaf. The pouring of the rain was increasing. They knew it wasn't going to stop raining anytime soon. It wasn't long, their father came back from one of the elders' house. "It has started again. We should leave," said their father. They left with the little belongings they could carry and moved out of their house, entered their canoe. Not every family was rich to afford a canoe. Many of them were walking in the flood. In the rain, most of their properties were being carried away from their houses by the flood. Emelda and her father paddled their canoe out of their home in search of refuge. Her sick mother covered her brother with a heavy cloth, but it was not enough to save him. He had caught pneumonia. He would not stop shivering. Emelda looked down. She saw her mother sobbing. She had paddled for 2 days. The rain had stopped, but there was no dry ground. They kept paddling. The others who were able to keep up the pace walked in the flood. Those who couldn't keep up gave up. Many lives were lost. After 6 days of paddling, they came to a higher ground and met other residents that the rain had not flooded their homes, and they were sheltered. Miracle was already weak by the time they found shelter. He couldn't live longer. Though some herbs were cooked and he drank the water for medication, yet he couldn't survive. He died on the 7th day. Virginia had been strong enough. She couldn't take the demise of her son. She laid beside him and gave up the ghost. Few days later, Emelda was sent back home by her father to check if the flood had dried up. She went home only to sight from afar all the houses and the area still flooded with water. She went back to her father and suggested that they never go back. Emelda and her father started life afresh. They became laborers for farmers in order to pick up their lives. On another beautiful Saturday morning, Emelda woke up from sleep, went outside the house, sat down on a log of wood, and began to sing her melodious song. But it wasn't a melody to her. It was exactly 9 months that she met what she was afraid of: the flood. It was as if her mother and brother were looking at her. She tried to see her mother call her "Nne," like she always did, but she didn't hear her mother's voice. She wanted to see her brother run to her, but he was nowhere to be found. She lost a lot of things. She lost her home. She lost some sessions in school. She knew if there had been good medical facilities in the town, she wouldn't have lost her brother and mother. So she decided to save lives in the future. Emelda lived, worked so hard, went back to school, studied very hard. She found her way out of town and went for higher education. Years later, Emelda became a medical doctor. She went back home and built a good hospital for her people. Emelda employed nurses and doctors from other cities to work at the hospital and take care of the sick ones.